went off to London this week. So if you want to hear more about the visa medical, the document check, where we stayed, why we stayed there, the costs for everything, then stick around because that is the detail that we're going to go through in this video.
Hello everyone, welcome back. For those of you that are new here, I'm Mark.
I'm Sam.
And we are two of the, I was going to say six technically, two of the six of us that make up a Hyde's Florida life. We're documenting our process of the EB1A visa, which is what we're currently working through. And everything from start to finish, warts and all. So if you're new here, there's lots of videos prior to this one. You have to go back and check out all the trials and tribulations we've gone through over the last 12 months. Yeah. 12 months-ish. But we're ever closer to the end result now, which is what we're going to touch on the most recent experience of very shortly.
So if you have been following along with us, you will know that we went off to London this week to go and do our visa medical and our visa document check. So that was our penultimate trip, meaning we've got just one stage left to go. So if you want to hear more about the visa medical, the document check, where we stayed, why we stayed there, the costs for everything, then stick around because that is the detail that we're going to go through in this video. If you would like to see our trip happening in real time, then head back to Wednesday's bonus vlog where we posted our day in the life experience of being down in London, and you can see all of it kind of like from the hotel through to the walk to everything. But yeah, go back and check that one out. But for now, we'll get into the detail around this trip to London.
So we'll start with sort of the pre-booked plans that we did.
Yes.
So as far as the visa medicals are concerned, you cannot book your visa medicals until you've got an interview date / interview letter with the embassy. So it's not even worth having a phone call with them. They won't entertain it unless you've got a confirmed interview date. They won't talk to you. Well, they'll talk to you, but they won't book any they won't book you any medical appointments. So that's the first thing you've got to get in place. Typically medicals need to be at least 2 weeks beforehand, so they will try and schedule pretty much exactly 2 weeks before, or thereabouts, depending on where that date sort of falls. That's kind of how it works. So we obviously were aware of as was on the 15th of September, so we knew that. So we started looking at hotels in the area, the location of where it is. So for those that don't know, it's at a place called Bentinck Mansions, which is on Bentinck Street.
Yes, Street.
Which is in the sort of Westminster,
Marylebone
Westminster type area of London. Happens to be the sort of less chaotic side, which made it a pleasant drive down.
Yes.
So we looked at a lot of hotels in the area. I found a really good one that is quite literally around the corner, less than a minute's walk from the visa medical place. So we opted to book that one. We booked the Welbeck Hotel, which is on Welbeck Street. Welbeck Street is the one that's sort of perpendicular to Bentinck Street, so it's literally around the corner. Great hotel, absolutely fantastic. Location was perfect. Nice and easy to find.
If you want to see, obviously, what the hotel was like and the walk, then if you check back Wednesday's video, as I said before, you'll be able to kind of see that, and there is a room tour in there as well. So you can just see what the rooms were like.
Yeah. So we opted to drive down, as I mentioned just now. So we booked parking for the night that we got there, which was on the Sunday prior to the Monday being the day we had the medicals on. We used Q Park, Oxford Street, which was again a 2 minute walk, if that.
Yeah.
5 minute walk tops, even if you're a slow walker. 5-minute walk from the hotel. So we parked in the Q Park. I think the cost was about £61, roughly.
Yeah, I think when you go online, I mean, this is the thing as well with booking in advance. The one thing that you can do with Q Park is download their app, and it gets you a 5% discount on the parking fee if you book it in advance. So I think if you sort of like do it on the day, it's £65 for 24 hours, or booking it in advance, I think it was about £61.75, something like that.
So, something to look at as well is sometimes some of the online sort of cashback platforms you get your cashback as well. So you might pay slightly more, but you get cashback.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually what we did.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly. I think you get like 7, maybe 10% cashback. So it works out better. So either way, it's about £61.
But the one other good thing is when obviously you're trying to park on Oxford Street. So by booking in advance, you've definitely got a slot in the car park.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it easy because it works on like an ANPR system. So if you've pre-booked in advance, you just drive up and the barrier will open on entry and on exit because technically you've already paid. So it makes it easy.
Mate, it was completely, it was effortless. We just drove, the sat-nav got us right to the gates.
Yeah.
We drove down the ramp. It's an underground car park. So you drive down the ramp, you get to the first gate you're at. The gate just opens, the barrier opens inside. You just pick whatever space is available, as long as it's not got reserved or VIP on it. And that's it.
Yeah.
It was reasonably straightforward. So that's where we parked. Walked up to the hotel, checked in. Yeah, so it was nice and close ready for Monday morning.
So the hotel, I've just got a few notes here just while I get you the prices up. So the hotel we paid
£362.
Yeah, £62 for the hotel for the one night. It was a deluxe double Welbeck Street view, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, so it was a double. So it was two, they're not quite doubles, they're more like kings, but 2 king size beds in one room.
Yeah.
Because obviously we've got the boys with us, so we needed something slightly bigger. So that was £362 for the one night.
Including like a continental breakfast the next day.
Yes. Yep.
Which was very beneficial because Visa Medical was at like £8.50. Our appointment slot was.
We basically we were there the second it opened.
Yeah, at 8:40.
So it opened at 8:40, and then literally there was people still walking in, there was staff still walking in as we got there. So
again, the proximity was a real bonus for us because of how early our appointment slot was. So that again is something to think about.
Yeah.
If you've got to try and transverse across London for an early appointment, then obviously being closer was much easier.
Yeah, so it wasn't a cheap hotel, but for London, nothing cheap in London. No hotels are cheap in London. You can get really, really cheap ones, but it's just not somewhere you want to stay. So, but the hotel itself was fantastic. All the staff were amazing.
Yeah.
Our kids are, like most kids, are fussy. The menu in there wasn't great if you're planning on eating in the hotel because all they've got is a bar.
Yeah.
They've got it down in the basement is where you go for breakfast, but it's only for breakfast. So you can order bar food, and it's okay. I think we'd have eaten off it.
Yeah,
it was just me and you,
was just
but the kids weren't interested in it.
Limited-ish menu, wasn't it? There was just nothing on there for them.
Yeah. So we opted. So
well,
basically,
you asked,
went to reception whilst we were sat in the bar, and said, "Is there any issues with us ordering takeaway, or Uber and having it delivered to the hotel?" No, nothing whatsoever. So we ordered a Domino's for the boys more than anything. Turned up about 15 minutes later. Picked everything up, went to go and walk back up to the room and take the stuff up to the room, and the very nice lady behind the reception desk, she said, "Do you need any cutlery, plates, napkins, sauces, or anything like that? Anything you need, I'll bring it up to your room."
And literally 5 minutes later, knocked on the door with plates, napkins, and it was, so the service there was really, really good.
Yeah, and if I ever had to stay in that area of London again, I'd definitely stay there.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
They also had an awesome photo booth in there, which was free for guests, so we had a lot of fun in that as well.
So obviously staying really close eliminates all the stress of having to get there early in the morning. And obviously because we decided to drive and we was in close proximity, you haven't got to mess about with taxis or tubes or Ubers or anything in the morning. You're walking distance, so it's nice and convenient.
The only thing you do need to bear in mind when you are driving into London, and this is again a part of that pre-planning, pre-booking situation, is on, if you go to the tfl.gov website, you can put the postcode for your destination in, and this hotel was obviously what we put in, and it was inside the, what's they call it, ULEZ, which is the ultra low emission zone, and it was in the area for congestion charging as well. So we were going down in an electric car, so that meant we were fine for the ULEZ.
Yes.
We didn't have to pay that, but we did have to pay the congestion fee for the 2 days that we were driving around within that zone. If you do have to pay for the ULEZ, it is £12.50 a day. And for the congestion charge, we didn't think about this until we were on the way there, so we couldn't do it. But if you know in advance that you're going into this congestion zone, you can pre-book for the days that you're in there, and it costs £15 a day. Otherwise, it costs you £17.50 a day, like same day or after.
Yeah, it's one of those
But
things.
it's something to bear in mind and to add to your kind of budget planning if you decide you're going to drive down. Now, when you might say, oh, why didn't you look at the train? And we did, because to be fair, it was a 3-hour drive, and the last hour of it was literally getting from one bit of London to the other, because as you can imagine, it's stop, start, traffic lights, traffic. But for the 4 of us, it was going to be...
So well, put, again, context around looking at the trains.
Yeah.
So obviously, as any of you that's been watching so far, our oldest son Jacob's got autism. Doesn't fare very well with very busy places and loads of noise and everything. So what we try to do is mitigate any of the sort of scenarios, where we can, that would potentially cause him any unrest or discomfort.
Yeah.
It's not terrible, but yeah, we try and avoid it if we can. So trains here in the UK are horrendous.
Inherently unreliable.
They're unreliable, so they can get cancelled at the drop of a hat. They can just not turn up. They can be late. They can be early, or whatever. Very rarely they're early.
And they tend to be busy.
They tend to be very busy, especially when they're going from sort of our local train stations or down to London anyway. They tend to be very busy, and it's very sporadic. You can't really plan as to which time's going to be quiet and which one isn't.
No.
So that was a factor. The other factor is they're bloody expensive.
Yes.
So even when you do one way, open returns, off peaks, anything, even going in cattle class for a family of 4 was going to cost 150 quid on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. It's an hour and 15-minute journey. So that's, you've not got pre-booked seats, you've not got guaranteed seating, you've not any of that. That's just 4 people standing at a train station. You get on the train and with a wing and a prayer that there's somewhere for you to sit down for the hour and 16 minutes that you're on it.
And I've been down there before and had to stand the whole way.
Yeah. I've come back on the train before now, and got, I don't know whether I've gone down, but I've certainly come back on the train before now where people have been sat
on the floor
where the toilets are, because there's nowhere to stand for an hour, and it's not a pleasant thing.
And a family member came back from the Isle of Wight, and again they had to stand all the way virtually from Southampton. And the problem that you have when these trains are that busy is, even if you go, right, okay, I'm going to pre-book a seat, if the train is that busy, people will be sat in your seat, and the aisles are full of people that you can't actually get to your seat to ask somebody to get out of it, even if you've paid and pre-booked it.
Yeah.
So
the alternative option is you go for first or business class, whatever that happens to be. Which then, not many people can afford that, so you almost guaranteed that you're going to have plenty of space. I did business class when I went down to London recently, and there was 4 people in my carriage. 3 people going down, 4 people coming back. But as a family of 4, to do a return, it was 700 quid.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. I'm sure I could fly from Birmingham to out of the UK and back for less.
Yeah. So this is the reason why we opted to drive. So I'm not saying that's the right decision for everybody, and obviously it's very much dependent on what your rail service is like, where you live, but it's just something to bear in mind, and the reason why we are sort of saying you need to think about this and pre-book it and plan it. It's not just a kind of like wing it situation.
Yeah. So we opted to drive.
Yeah.
So the key takeaway is trains are very expensive, certainly from the Midlands or North. Coming down, that can be very expensive.
Yeah.
That's why we opted to drive, but do allow plenty of time for driving through London. So if you're planning on doing what we did, which is travel the day before, obviously it doesn't really matter, you've got lots of flexibility. But if you're planning on travelling on the day of your medicals, give yourself plenty of time, especially if it's a weekday.
Yeah.
Because the second you hit London at around about 7:30, you can add on 35, 40 minutes to your journey, at least.
Okay, so that's the bit around sort of Bentinck Mansions for the visa medicals. But then we had to factor in the fact that we've got to go from the visa medical to the embassy. And we'll get into the reasons behind that a little bit later. But the fact of the matter was we had to go from that sort of Marylebone area all the way over to by Battersea power station for the embassy, which means we needed to park. And so Mark had done a bit of research around where could we park, and there is literally a Waitrose that's sort of opposite almost, that has a car park. Now, you found out, didn't you, that if you used Just Park, you could book a time, like an amount of hours in advance with them, because we'd got no idea how long it was going to be or how long we'd need parking for. So we booked a 6-hour slot, which cost £20. As it turned out, we didn't need anywhere near that, but we don't know whether that's just our day was really quiet or the way that that would happen. So we decided to be cautious and make sure we've got plenty of time. Because if you pull into that Waitrose car park on the day, it doesn't give you any information about this Just Park option, and you are only allowed to park for 2 hours, and you have to have bought something from Waitrose. In hindsight, had we have just gone into the embassy and left, we could have made that work.
Yeah, because even I mean, we stopped for lunch. So anybody who's watched a video from Wednesday, you'll see that we stopped at Passion.
It wouldn't have worked for the lunch.
No,
would we have still been within the 2 hours?
Yeah, because we didn't necessarily get to the embassy until about 12:15, half 12, was it? Something like that. And we left the car park at 12:15, so still within the 2 hours. And we bought something from Waitrose. Yeah,
but as I said, that day it was super quiet. So, but we can't guarantee that it would be like that all the time. So again, if you wanted to pre-book parking, Just Park was where we did it. Was it just 6 hours the least you could book?
No, you could book for less. But I did it because we talked about getting lunch.
Yes.
So I sort of thought, well, if we don't get there till midday and we're in there an hour and then we come back out and lunch, it could be that time. And I wasn't entirely sure at what time we were going to finish at the medicals.
Yes.
So our time slot at the medicals was 8:45. So I worked on the basis that if it was an hour and a half, which is when we read online, that's kind of roughly, for a family of four, that's roughly how long it takes. But again, that's dependent on how many other people are in there.
Yeah.
I was figured like, 10:15, 25, 30 minutes to get across, 10:45. So I booked from 10 till 4 at the Waitrose car park to make sure that I had plenty of time if we got there slightly earlier.
Yeah.
And to make sure we had plenty of time at the end. The cost difference was negligible. So if you booked like 3 hours, I think it was like 12 quid or 15 quid.
Yeah.
So it's a negligible number. So it's definitely worth doing. It will say outside on the sign work for the Waitrose parking that it's only free for 2 hours. Anybody that's over stage, you get charged. I think I mentioned in my Wednesday video, didn't go into too much detail, but basically, Just Park, I've got an agreement with the people that manage the Waitrose car park, and not Waitrose, the people that manage the car parking area. So any of the signage goes out the window if you've got a booking through Just Park. You've got your allocated time, space and slot. As long as you adhere to that, you won't have any issues.
Yeah. So again, that's something to add to your pre-planning.
Yeah, and we'll be using the same for interview day as well.
We will.
Because the hotel we're staying in is just round the corner.
Yeah. So next up then, we kind of figured we'd get into a little bit more detail of the visa medicals. And I did take some kind of detailed notes, which I'm just going to pull up on my phone, because I wanted to make sure that we covered off exactly how that happened, because we obviously couldn't record during the medical, So we couldn't like show you as it happened, but I wanted to make sure that we'd kind of like were able to talk about exactly what happened and the process, because I think that's a bit that everybody that's got to go through this will be interested in understanding, because we couldn't find anything anywhere that really detailed what happens at the medicals. Yes, you can find out that you're going to have a blood test, you're going to have a chest x-ray, but kind of like to go through how it all comes about, we couldn't find anything on that.
No. Well, whilst Sammy's trying to find them notes, I'll just go through the costs at the beginning so you know what the costs were, because that's the easy bit. So the medicals themselves, so just the medicals without any of the ancillary stuff that comes with it, vaccinations, etc. Each adult over the age of 16 has to pay £395. Each child under the age of 14, I think it is £175. I think 14 to 16, it's a different number for between 14 and 16, because again, there's certain things they have to do at that age. Vaccinations wise, what you basically have to do is you have to take a copy of your vaccination record from your GP, and also a copy of your summary healthcare record. Again, you can get both of these from your GP, no issues.
Yes.
They will vaccinate based on what your vaccination record says. So even if you know categorically you've had another vaccination already, if it doesn't say it in that paperwork, you've got to have it on the day.
Yeah.
If you opt to not have it, you're not getting your medical signed off.
No.
It's as simple as that. There was a couple of things that we were almost certain the kids had, but it wasn't in the vaccination records.
Yeah.
There was stuff that I wasn't sure I've had. Same with you. It was kind of like, I don't know. If it's not in there, we're going to assume it hasn't been done. We also took our boys' red books. So if you live in the UK, you'll know what a red book is, or you should know what a red book is if you've got kids. Basically, their medical history that was done by the
as there were babies and stuff. So
health visitors of the babies. So it records all the vaccinations they had as from up to a certain age. So we had those with us as well. So checking through all of those, checking through the vaccination records for all of us, we were still either missing vaccinations that you can't get here, or ones that had expired based on US requirements. Not here, US requirements. So Jacob had to have a top-up meningitis jab.
Well, no, he needed to have a meningitis
jab. Oh, he didn't have one at all?
So over here in the UK, then the nurse that was doing the vaccinations was kind of what told me about this. She said, here in the UK, ordinarily, children get given the meningitis vaccination between 13 and 14 at school, but in America, they're actually giving it at 11. So because Jacob is now 12, he had to have that to be able to go. So that was a vaccination that we didn't know about that he needed, because it just wasn't on our radar yet.
It might have been on the CDC form. But I think we probably
we just hadn't realised. So he had to have that one in addition, and that one was
£60.
£60.
So Sam and I both had to have hepatitis B, and that's not something you have here in the UK. It's mandatory in the US, so we had to have those. They were they 80 quid each? 40 quid each?
40, I think.
40 quid each.
Yeah.
They were £40 each. Both boys had to have Hep A and B, so it was actually a mixed vaccine, so it was the 2-in-1. They both had to have that. Again, you don't have it here.
No, I think it's sometimes they do, but it didn't say that the vaccinations that they had specifically had the A in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think they are giving it here, but it didn't necessarily specifically specify it. That's what she said. That's the reason why they had to have the combined one.
Okay. Well, they had to have that anyway, so they combined one A and B. Both boys both had to have polio again, because again it was an age-related thing where they had it X amount of years ago. They have to make sure it's up to date. So they both had to have polio as well. So the total cost for vaccinations...
So hold on, just individually. The Hep A B was £80 per child, and the polio was £50 per child.
So the total cost for all of the vaccinations for the 4 of us that needed to be done was £400.
Yeah.
So add onto that the cost of the actual medicals themselves. The total cost all in was £1,540. Well, none of that was prepaid. It was all paid on the day. You basically just got to the end. Everything's been done. You got called to the front counter.
Yeah.
This is the total cost. And that was paid on the day.
That was on the day. So if we just go through this and we can kind of talk you through that. So the first part is sort of that arrival and check-in bit. The visa medicals is sort of like a bunch of rooms of like a big almost like building, isn't it? So there's lots of other things contained within that building. So you go through the lovely frontage through the door, and the visa medicals part was on the right hand side as we walked in.
So it's on the first floor you come into on the right hand side.
And you kind of had to buzz to go in, didn't you?
Yes.
And
then once you get inside, there's two sort of reception windows on the right hand side.
It's not a very big lobby, so if there's lots of people in there, it can get a bit crowded. So
yeah, no, we were the first people in there.
Yeah.
So we kind of just hovered around that first lobby bit whilst we was asked to fill in a few extra bits of documentation. But there is a waiting room just round the corner.
Yeah.
Logically, it would make more sense that you just take everything off them and walk into the waiting room and go and fill everything out because there's more space.
Yeah.
But because we were the first there and there was a chair in the lobby area, we kind of took it in turns to swap around. So when you first get there, you walk up to a window, there's somebody there, you explain who you are, your name, they find your details on a sort of the pre-printed documentation they've got. And then they want off you some of your documentation. So passports for everybody.
You went first as the primary applicant.
I did, yeah. But they ask for passports for everyone.
But they ask it for it, but you have to do it individually.
Yes.
So it's not like Mark stands there and hands over all 4 passports and all 4 of this and all 4 of that. It's done by person.
It's main applicant first.
Yeah.
So they can sort of say, right, you're here. And then they go, right, we want everybody's paperwork individually for everything else. Now, we haven't stored paperwork individually. We've just got everything stored in document folders in a big binder together. So all of the summary care reports from the GP.
Yeah.
They're all named and marked up and individualised, but they're all bundled together.
Yeah, so we'd got, as Mark said, all the passports were together, all of the GP and vaccination records were together. Everything was all done like that, as a 4, not individually.
Yeah. So she asked for mine first, so I went through all the pack, pulled out my versions of, so it was passport, summary care reports, vaccination record. That was it, then, wasn't it?
Acros, didn't we have to give out?
No, not in there. No, that was in the...
Oh, that was in the embassy, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was all they asked for?
Yeah.
And they also wanted to see a copy of the interview letter.
Oh, yeah. That was what you had to show first, wasn't it?
That was what I had to show first to confirm that the interview was booked like I'd said it was.
Yeah.
Now, my interview has been booked using the online platform, so I haven't got a letter as such. I've got a printout of an email that I've received.
Yeah.
But it still works. They were happy with that. One thing I will note, which is something that I was under the impression that I would need, but I haven't been asked for them yet, is DS260 confirmation forms. Now, I've got a funny feeling we're going to be asked for those at the embassy when we go for the interview.
Okay.
But as it stands at the moment, nobody's asked for them, despite the fact that on the US government website,
it says you
need those.
Okay.
They do. So there's a couple of things that haven't quite tied up on the embassy side for the document check, but we'll double back on that in a second. So when you first get in there, you have to give them these forms. Now, another thing you have to give them, and this is something that's available on the Visa Medical's website, is like a pre-questionnaire.
Yes.
So it's the same form for everybody, which Sam's going to put up here, so you've got an example of.
Yeah, so you have to do that in advance.
Yeah. You fill that in, you hand that in, you have to sign like a consent form with it as well.
Yeah.
And the consent form basically said, you're consenting to have these medicals done, but there is no guarantee of a visa at the end of it.
Yeah.
You're basically taking it on as a risk.
Yeah.
Not a risk of the fact there's anything going to come out of the fact that you're having the medical done, it's just the fact that despite having it done, it still doesn't guarantee you're going to get a visa.
Yeah.
It's just a requirement as part of the visa process.
Yeah. So you did that for you, and then I went up next. So it was kind of done like adults. And then they gave you a form that needed to be filled out.
Yeah, so they gave me another form to be filled out, which is basically another...
It was a repeat of the medical
questionnaire, or virtually. There just wasn't as much space on it to write anything.
No, so you filled that out for you and the boys.
Yes.
Whilst I stood up at the counter and handed over my passport, medical questionnaire, vaccine record, GP summary, and it was the acros. So I handed those over. She took those away to check them. I signed the consent forms, then she passed me the stuff back, and then we went through each of the boys in turn doing the same thing, except obviously they didn't have the police acro part for them. Once we'd done all of that, she then gave me the other form to fill out, which, as Mark just said, was exactly the same as the medical questionnaire. So I filled that out whilst we were, and then, effectively she sent us through to the waiting room, and I filled that form out whilst we were sat in the waiting room. And this is kind of like where we really didn't know what to expect or how it would roll with being called up into the various bits, because we knew there was going to be different elements. I guess I just expected it all to be done at the same time, uniformly. Yeah.
So so when we went in, we were just under the impression that you get called into the GP one at a time.
I know I think we thought the GP thing we'd all be done together.
Well, I certainly thought we'd go in with the child, and then we'd get us and a child done together. That was what I thought was going to happen. We knew there was going to be some sort of GP check-up thing that had to be done. Yeah. There was going to be something to do with vaccinations. There was going to be x-rays done.
For us as adults.
Depending on your age and what you are, there was other things you might have to have done, like urine samples. Yeah. Depending on your age, we're too old to have to worrying about those, but I think it's between 16 and 25.
I think so,
it was. Not checking for STDs and all that sort of stuff. That I believe. But yeah, it seemed to really not disjointed. They knew what they were doing.
Just a bit haphazard, because the first thing that happened was Mark got called.
But I got called for vaccines first.
So he went, but I didn't know that until he came back. So you went off into the room and you were gone. So me and the boys were sat there waiting, and then you came back and you went, I've just had my vaccines. I was like, oh, okay.
Vaccine.
Yeah. So thinking then, okay, so then I got called. So my initial first thought was, I'm going to have my vaccine. So I don't need anything. So I left all of stuff with Mark, but I was called for my GP bit. So I was kind of going through all of the stuff for the GP bit, and then that bit with him was effectively him asking me all of the questions that were filled out on the questionnaire that are then populated on the second questionnaire that I filled in the waiting room, and then I had to verbally tell him the answers to all those same questions again.
Do you think it's to see if you've done anything different?
Yeah, I don't know whether it's,
trying to catch you up.
But then I was there were some things that were kind of I mentioned about, and I was but I've got evidence of that in the folder, but I've left that with Mark because I wasn't expecting to come in here now. So if you need me to, I'll have to run and go and get the folder. And he was yeah, we'll do that in a minute. So we basically went through all of those things, which was have you been hospitalised? What for? Have you had any procedures? Have you had any mental health or neurological issues? What medications are you on? And then there was sort of lots of other little yes/no questions, basically. So after we'd done that, then it was, right, okay, can you take your shoes off? I need to do your weight and your height. So he did those. I got some scales and a height thing. And then I had to go and stand next to a couch and read, almost like an optician's thing with the letters on, where the letters get smaller. Yeah.
Eye chart.
The eye chart. And so I had to read along the bottom with one eye covered right way, and then cover the other one and read it backwards. That was what I got asked to do.
Could you read the bottom line?
Yes. However, when I had to read it backwards, because I'd covered my eye, when I had to swap it over, the light, I had to wait for my eye to kind of adjust back to the light. So I did get a H and an N confused at the time, because I was
generally they're not looking for every letter, they're looking for most of them.
Yeah, so that was that bit. And at that point in time then, he said that I needed to strip down to he asked me if I'd got underwear on to start with, and then he said that I needed to strip down to my underwear and put a robe on. But rewind right back to the beginning of the chat with the GP. He asked me if I wanted a chaperone. To which I said no. But obviously, if you wanted a chaperone in there with you, you could at that point in time. So I undressed, put the robe on, and then he did blood pressure, listened to my chest with the stethoscope, listened to my heart, and then he asked me to lie down on the couch, undo the robe so he could feel my tummy, and asked me if I'd got any tummy issues. To which I was like, no. And he was like, all right, that's fine. You can get dressed. While you're getting dressed, I'm going to go and get Jacob, and we'll do Jacob. And as he was asking me some of the questions, he was like, I want you to think about the kids at the same time. So I was kind of like having to do me, and then also having to tell him things about the kids at the same time. So he went and got Jacob. And again, at this point in time, we didn't think to go and get the folder. So we were talking to him, and then I brought up about Jacob's autism. And he was like, well, there's nothing about Jacob's autism in his GP care record. And I was like, yeah, I don't actually know why that is the case, because it was the doctor that referred us, and it was all done through the NHS. We didn't pay privately for anything. I says, but I do have the psychological evaluation that was done. I've got his diagnosis letter. I've got a report from the school about the support that he receives at school, and I've got his most recent sort of like academic report. I was like, I just need to go and get them if you want to see them. And he was like, yes. So I ran back out to Mark and grabbed the folder. So this is another reason why it kind of comes back to the point of having each individual's information grouped together, and they hold on to it throughout that medical,
so
almost. You can take it around with you, because we packaged it all together as a family but didn't go in together. So we kept having to go and get the folder from one another. So that is one of our tips for the visa medical to some extent.
Yeah.
But that's just something to sort of like, that was our little tip that we ended up having to go backwards and forwards to get this folder. So we went through everything with regards to Jacob. Jacob didn't have to have we also had to have bloods as well. So he drew blood off me as well to do a blood test. So that was the other thing he did when he did the blood pressure. So Jacob also had to strip down to just his underwear. He didn't have to have blood pressure. He didn't have to have any blood taken, but everything else was the same. He had to do the eye test thing. He had to lie down and he felt his tummy. And that was pretty much it. So we were done, and then we went back out to Mark.
Yeah, and during that time, I was called in for my chest x-ray. Pretty uneventful.
Yeah. Top
half of your body stripped off. If you're wearing a chain or a necklace, you have to take those off.
Yeah.
Facing the wall, arm up against the arms on your hips, elbows pushed forward. X-ray took. Nothing exciting. I did, however, just because I was curious, I was like, do you mind if I have a look? So she called it up on the screen and showed me my own chest x-ray. It looked like a rib cage with veins in it.
Yeah.
And capillaries, and it was nothing. And she showed me where my heart was. So I was like, oh, yeah, I've got one. And it's not swinging brick. So I was impressed. I was impressed myself. So I went in for my x-ray. I was in there.
You're not in there long, are you?
3-4 minutes tops.
Yeah. And then I kind of followed Mark in and went and had mine done. But for me, because I got to take my bra and stuff off, I kept the robe that the doctor had given me, and I used that robe to put that robe on. Had to remove everything that I was wearing, top half and my necklace. And again, keep the robe on though. You didn't have to stand there like naked on the top half. And then had that chest x-ray done in there, and then came back.
Keep your robe on? It was a woman in there anyway.
Yes.
But I would imagine if it was a male doctor, radiographer, whatever they call themselves, I would imagine you can get a chaperone as well if you're a female with a male. But
they have a pull around curtain for you to get sort of like changed, so you can have your privacy for the getting changed part anyway.
Yeah. I got called into the GP, but he called me in with him at the same time. So exactly the same process. We went through basically the same medical questions. Again, I also repeated exactly what we'd already filled in anyway. And he also turned around and said, answer the questions for both you and Finn.
Yeah.
At the same time. So, and it was all the same sort of questions. It was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Nothing strenuous.
No.
Again, I was then, eye test, height, weight.
Yeah.
I was stripped down to, I didn't get a robe. I was standing there in my pants.
Oh, there you go.
Wasn't a pleasant sight, I'm sure, but it was, and the same again, blood pressure, took a bloods out of my right arm. Stomach check, so I think it was all the same
Yeah,
things.
that was all the same.
All the same things. Same again for Finn then, who thought it was hilarious. He spent his entire time laughing, so I stood there in my pants. That was part of the reason why he thought it was funny. And that was it. And then we came out, we were all of them, were just sat in the waiting room.
Yeah, me and Jacob, in the meantime, while they were in there, had to go and have our vaccinations.
So that's what I meant about it being a bit disjointed.
Yeah.
It was kind of like there was no flow to it. It was just like, oh, we've got a space here for this, you're coming next.
Yeah, you're coming in next.
And whilst we were there was obviously more people that started to turn up. So there was individuals, there was families and whatnot.
Couples.
So as one of us went into, say, like vaccinations and came out, if one of us was in within the GP, somebody else had filled the gap of going into the X-ray. Yeah. It was quite well organised in terms of like it was one in, one out, one in, one out.
Yeah.
But from our perspective, it was quite sporadic.
We kind of expected you'd do all of the GP bit together, even if it wasn't together.
Yeah.
You'd kind of go through GP bit, then you'd go vaccine bit, and then you'd go chest X-ray. We didn't expect it to be
consecutively. It was just done. Whoever picked up your paperwork next.
Yeah. And then after we'd done everything, we were sat in the waiting room, weren't we? We were asked to sit in the waiting room and told that we'd get the vaccination lady just said they'd call you. So we sat down in...
It was only...
Wasn't long.
5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. Yeah.
And then they just shouted, Hyde family.
Yeah, you're all done.
You're all done. We got called into reception. Because they took photocopies of the report for Jacob's autism and his diagnosis letter and everything and the school bits, they gave us back the originals.
Yep.
And then you had to, as Mark said, you had to make payment at that point in time as well.
Yeah. And then what they also gave us at that point was a pink sheet.
Yeah.
Pink sheet that had some details on about my case number and a few other bits and pieces, which basically said that we've been for medicals have all been done, and that was the point in which we were instructed to then head to the embassy to go and do your pre-document check. And you have to have that pink slip to get into the embassy. You have to show them the gate.
Pink slip.
So I was given that, given a hefty bill, which made me cry on the night. But so we paid the bill. That was it. One of the things they did turn around and say at the time was, if there's any issues with your X-ray or bloods, because obviously you don't get results straight away.
No. They
said they would phone us and contact us and let us know there was any issues as a priority, mainly because if there's an issue that crops up, we need to go and get it fixed.
Yeah.
Touch wood, as it stands at the minute, we've not heard anything. So hopefully
we go in with the whole no news is good news.
No news is good news. But they did turn around and say, if you hear nothing, everything's good. And within 5 days, we email everything to the embassy, so they've got records of everything.
Yeah.
If there's any problems, we'll contact you and let you know there's whatever that problem happens to be. Also said then you will receive a copy of the vaccination record from us electronically in an email, and you'll get it within 48 hours.
Yeah.
We
have.
We actually got that on Tuesday.
Yeah, we got it the next day.
The next day with an email. And you need that. So you need that for 2 things. One, you also get paper copies of them anyway.
Yeah.
So the vaccinations that we've had aren't necessarily vaccinations you have here, and the NHS records won't be automatically updated because they're not connected.
No.
So they give you a hand copy, and they also then send you an emailed copy to allow you to get your records updated here, so your NHS records are up to date. But you also need them for when you go to the US.
Yeah.
Because you can't get medical insurance without them.
No, and the kids also need them for school as well.
Kids need them for school. There's a couple of other bits and pieces apparently you need them for. So they're very, very important. So when you get those,
keep them safe.
Keep them safe with all of the other docs that you need to be able to take when you go. And that was it.
Yeah.
2 hours, 15 minutes, I think we were there total.
Yeah.
We left around about 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So it was...
Yeah, about 11:05.
But aside the fact that it was a little bit disjointed, it was...
Oh, it's really smooth sailing, no issues, no problems.
Really easy.
Yeah, everybody was nice.
Yeah, no problems whatsoever. Even the people in the waiting room were all quite pleasant and shuffled around and stuff. Obviously, we left there, we headed back to the hotel, just round the corner, packed everything, well, we'd already packed up, but packed everything that was left.
Yeah.
and then headed down to the car that we parked around the corner.
Yeah.
So then we drove a whole 4 miles across London that felt like it took about 3 days to get there.
Yeah.
We managed to drive past Buckingham Palace.
Did?
And Park Lane, and yes, we did.
Hyde Park?
Hyde Park we drove past. Loads. If you look back at Wednesday's video, you'll see a few snips of what we've done. But then we headed over to the the Waitrose Park, the car park we just mentioned earlier, and then just headed straight out to the embassy. So we got to the embassy, I think about 12:15.
Yeah.
Ish. 12:15. When we got there, now I've done a lot of digging around the embassy. It's the first time we've ever been there.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of digging into what happens when you get to the embassy, but for interview. So when we got there, I anticipated seeing some people outside. There was no one. There was just armed guards.
Just before we get into that detail, this is just to add that this procedure of going for this document check, we have talked about it before, but it's a new thing that's been introduced this year.
Yes. February, I think it was introduced. And it only appears to be currently here in the UK.
Yes.
Everything I knew about when you turned up to the embassy, there's generally a massive queue outside.
Yeah.
And that's for non-immigrant visas. I won't go into the details of what you do as an immigrant visa. We'll find that out now in a couple of weeks' time when we go.
Yeah.
But we turned up and there was no one. It was barren. There was literally not a soul
there
anywhere.
Outside. No.
There was just 4 or 5 armed guards walking around. To a couple of them having a bit of a chit chat outside.
Yeah. There was like a couple of areas to queue outside the security bit, and so we had a look at what the little sign said. And there was one that was labelled as visas.
Yeah.
So we initially just went straight there, and then the guy at the security said, like, you kind of need to check in almost, don't you, at the other one?
Yeah. It was
it's
strange.
Called Passover or something like that.
Yeah. So there was 3 lines that you kind of queued in. There was one that was for American citizens.
Yeah.
Which they were doing like passport stuff. Any American citizen goes in that area. There was the visas one.
Yeah.
And then there was a Passover line. Not entirely sure what that refers to. But anyway, there was nobody in the queue. There was a couple stood at the front that had literally just finished as we got there. So I walked up to the front. He just said, "What's your name?" Told him what it was. He was like, "Yeah, you're on the list. Can you give me a copy of your passport? Can you give me your passport?" Checked the passport. Everything was happy. And then he wrote a few notes on a Post-it, stuck it to the front of my passport and signed it. And he said, "If you now take that to the visa window door that you just came from, just show them that Post-it, they'll let you in." Okay. That's what we did. Walked back up to there. The security guy, obviously, it was the same guy, so we just opened the door, showed him the passport, and he said, "Yep, come on in." You go through like airport style security.
Yeah, so there's like a bag check and like a little scannery thing.
Yeah, so there's an X-ray scanner for bags, and there's X-ray.
Like you walk through, like a metal detector type thing. Yeah.
Walkthroughs for there. You have to take your belts off.
Yeah.
Jackets.
Yeah.
And obviously any bags that you've got with you. You can't take laptops into the embassy. And I don't believe you can take tablets either.
No.
So mobile phones, you're good with. Watches, AirPod type things, electronics, small scale electronics, I think you're okay with. But anything like a tablet or a laptop, you can't take in. That was the thing that he asked me when we first walked through the door.
Okay, I didn't hear him
He
say
turned around
that.
and said, "Have you got any laptops on you? Because if you have, you can't take them."
Right, okay.
And I've read that somewhere anyway. So anyway, yes, we got through security, walked out the other side. You walk up a sort of slight incline up to a set of doors. Again, there's signposts, one that says American citizens, one that says visas.
Yeah.
You follow the visa one, open the door, and you walk into an enormous lobby.
Yeah.
Walk through a load of airport
Like
lines.
style queuing thing, yeah.
Get to the counter at the front. Again, the guy just asked for name and passport.
Yeah.
Handed it over, gave him my name, and he says, "Yeah, you're going to head to the elevators, first floor, all the way to the left again, and then just wait for your name to be called, or number to be called."
But he also did give us like a little laminated
Like a white slip.
slip.
Which had like a
had some stuff
really
written on it about,
basic instructions.
Yeah, basic instructions.
Elevator, first floor, left and left.
Yeah.
It was empty. We were literally the only people in there. We went to the elevator, went up first floor, came out. There was one family that were on the right hand side that were doing something over there.
Yeah.
Everybody else was just staff. So you basically go all the way to the windows. You turn left, go all the way to the windows at the end, keep to the right hand side of the barrier, left again, and then you end up in almost like anybody who's ever been to the post office in the UK will understand what I'm talking about now. It was like the post office system, like
or a bank cashier type
thing.
Yeah,
where you kind of stand there and they go, cashier number 3, please.
It
was that sort of principle. So there was a load of windows.
There was like seats to sit on.
Yeah, there were screens up that sort of said who was currently being dealt with and who was next. Our number wasn't on there, which was quite weird.
Yeah, but there was literally only
2
people in there. The boys literally folded down a seat and were about to sit on it, and then you got called.
Yeah.
So we didn't even sit.
Yeah, so we got called to window 20.
We did.
And it's literally a booth. It was just big enough to get the 4 of us in.
Yeah, so you kind of have 2 sides and then one that kind of comes halfway across. So you've got like a walkway in, but you're kind of contained.
Yeah.
But it's not soundproof, so like if somebody was stood next to you, you could totally hear the conversation.
Oh, yeah. If you're sat in the little booths waiting, you can 100% hear or definitely see what's going on in the booths. But, it doesn't matter. We got called in there. American guy on the other side of the glass window, he kind of said, you're here for document check, you just come from your medicals. Yes. Asked for passports first.
Yeah.
Now, we've had to renew Finley's passport because there is a requirement that you have to have a minimum of 6 months of time left on your passport from the point in which you plan to go, or from the interview date, I think it is. And Finn's
was going to run out
in January.
Yeah.
So we were kind of, obviously, we weren't 100% sure on when the interview was going to happen.
No.
It turns out we needed to have done it because obviously it's not to the end of September. So we went away and did that, but it was after we did the NBC processing, because if the interview would have happened faster, we would have had time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had to renew his passport. So the first thing I did was, here's the passport. However, the youngest one has had to have a new passport done for the reasons we've just said. We've got both his old and his new passport, and the guy behind the counter just went, that's absolutely fine, makes sense to do, I just want his new one, and I'll update his details on the system. That was it. Didn't ask any more questions. He was happy with the fact that we justified the reason for doing it, and he was happy. He took the passports, then he started asking for the other documentation. So he asked for birth certificates, originals for everybody, marriage certificates, divorce certificates or divorce decrees. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Decrees. Divorce decrees. He wanted to see acros for myself and Sam. Anybody under 16 doesn't need one. He asked for DPOL certificate. When we got married, I changed my last name.
Yeah.
So he asked for the DPOL certificate, which was something they didn't actually have on record, despite the fact that it was definitely sent.
Yes.
So we took a copy of the original and
we just happened to have a photocopy and the original. And so we asked if we'd got a copy of the original, and he kept the photocopy. Yeah. So I don't know whether it would be kind of like a bit of a tip for you to have all of your original certificates and almost a photocopy of them with you as well. Just in case, for whatever reason, they don't have it on file, so that they can keep your photocopy. Because otherwise, what they're going to do, keep your original? I don't know. So, yeah, that might just be, again, another just in case situation.
Yeah. So, had his passports, birth certificates, acros,
marriage certificate,
DPOL.
DPOL, yeah.
So he had all of those. Then asked if either of us had ever served in the military, which is a no. He also asked the question: have any of us ever lived outside the UK?
Yeah.
Obviously, for us, the answer is no. But that was a question that he asked. And that's pretty much it. That was all the questions he asked.
That was all the questions. Then we had to do biometrics.
So just myself and Sam had to do the biometrics. So 4 fingers on both hands and then both thumbs.
Yeah.
And then what he did was he took all of the documentation he took off us, put it all together inside a clear plastic wallet, and then put a US branded
label to seal it shut.
Yeah, and it basically says US CIS or US citizens or whatever it was. It says on there, and it literally says "do not open."
Yeah.
So it's sealed shut, and that was it. Oh, he also asked me to confirm when my interview was, and I was like, "It's on I told him the date, and he went, "What time?" And I went, "Crap, what time was it?" I went, 8 o'clock. No, I think it's 8 o'clock in the morning. He went, "Well, it is now."
Yeah.
It was 8 o'clock. He hadn't just changed it. It was 8 o'clock. So that was pretty much it. So then he just said, "Have you got any questions for me?" Now this is where the really important thing comes in, which was something I was really glad we asked.
Yeah.
So everywhere on the internet, including the US government website, and I've double checked this since we've been home, and it is 100% a fact. It says for even our visa type that children under the age of 16 don't need to attend the interview. I don't know why. It doesn't say why.
Yeah.
It just said they don't need to attend the interview.
And then I think we'd seen somebody comment on something somewhere that sometimes the kid's been there.
It's on the same page.
Oh, is it on the same page?
Yeah, it's on the US government website.
Okay.
It actually says something about whilst children under the age of 16 aren't, it isn't a necessity for them to be there. Sometimes the officers like to see them.
Yeah.
As a family together. I guess it just, you can just see how well they gel and the way the mannerisms are and stuff like that, I guess.
I don't know, yeah.
So, yeah, it just says that if you can take them, do take them, because it's nice for them to see, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, our kids are still in school in the UK.
So we were like, they've already had a day off to go for the visa medicals. If it's not mandatory for them to be at the interview, we're not going to, have them have 2 days off to go.
Yeah.
Because it's in the middle of the week, we were thinking, well, the kids will have to have 2 days off because we'll have to travel down the day before and then they'll have to have a day off, so we don't really want them to miss another 2 days of school. So we didn't plan on taking them because it said we didn't have to, but we figured we'd better just check.
I don't know why, but we've both been talking about it and we're just like, well, ask the question, just to double check. I don't know why we did that. The guy then proceeded to turn around and say, "Oh no, they have to be here.
Yeah.
It's mandatory." So I went, "Oh, everything we've read on the US government website suggests that because they're under 16 they don't have to." There was but it's an embassy thing. Every embassy is different, and here we expect them to be here. So it was a bloody good job we asked, because they weren't planning on taking them.
And we'd even booked a hotel as just the two of us.
Yeah, so we've now had to change it.
Which we've had to change.
Which has cost another fortune.
That's a heads up for anyone going as a family.
Yeah. Now that's not suggesting that's the case
Every visa
for all
type.
visas and all visa types. As you know, ours is the EB1A.
Yeah.
Now, what I have read online since is if the applicant has got their own application number, then obviously they have to be there. Now, our application numbers are the application number, which is the LND number and X amount of digits. And then I'm 01, you're 02, 03, 04 for the boys.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that constitutes the fact that they've
got
technically their own number.
Yeah.
Because when you go onto the SEAC portal, anybody who's going through this process, you'll know what SEAC is. If you go on the SEAC portal, when it pops up, it used to just say the one number. When the MVC sent all of our data to the embassy and the status on that portal changed to ready, that's when it changed to 4 numbers.
Got you.
So I'm wondering whether or not, because of the visa type that we've got, which essentially means we all get individual green cards.
Yeah. Whether that's the
reason why. So that ultimately
means they've got to
be there for that purpose. I don't know.
But either way, we're so glad we asked.
We're glad we asked, because it's not like we live around the corner and we could have gone and grabbed them.
No.
So yeah, it's worth considering that if you're going through this process and doing the same thing. So the kids are now coming with us.
The other question we asked was, because as we walked through security, it says no photos, no videos. This is a memory thing for us. Obviously, we're documenting this, vlogging it wise, but also for ourselves. We were like, okay, that's another milestone for us. We wanted to take a sort of a picture in the grounds. And because it had said no photos, no video as you walk through security, we weren't sure whether that meant we couldn't take a photo at all whilst we were on site. So
we asked that question.
We just asked that question at the window, explained what we wanted it for, and he was like, yeah, no, that's fine, more than welcome to take a photo. In fact, he said, make your memories.
Yeah. So we asked the question if we could take stuff inside the building and then maybe outside as we were walking out, and he kind of just went, yeah, fill your boots. go for it. So I'm pretty sure that'd have been a bit funny if we'd have taken
If we'd have gone around and filming and
or photos of like proprietary information that you shouldn't really know or wouldn't know unless you were there. But anybody who's been to the embassy in London, as you come out of the elevators, there's a huge like stone wall in front of you.
Yeah.
And there's a
quote on there, and there's an image, like a print of the
Constitution.
Yeah, the Constitution.
Yeah, on the far wall. So it was like, oh, that's really cool.
Cool.
Like, I want to take a photo of that. So that's kind of what we asked for.
Yeah.
So we have taken a photo of that, of both.
Yeah.
Which we can put in here.
Mm-hmm. And we also took a selfie of us just outside with the building and the flag.
The US flag?
Yeah.
American flag. So yeah, they were really good. So yeah, I think the filming and photos was more about not being able to do that in security.
Yeah.
And that's just so people...
For obvious reasons. Yeah.
So yeah, pretty painless. We were in there 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably spent more time walking than we did doing anything because the building's huge.
But we were anticipating be there for quite a lot of time.
I kind of figured we'd be there for an hour.
Yeah.
And 15 minutes we were in and out. And again, even walking out, there was no one there.
No.
No one there at all. So yeah, you walk back out through the security, so you basically go out the way you came in. And then we went and stopped for lunch. And that was it.
We did. Yeah, which was like a Philadelphia themed eatery bar, which was a nice thing to do. And again, if you want to check that out, go back to Wednesday's vlog and you can have a little look at that and what we ate. Beyond that, that's pretty much everything from that, really, isn't it? You know, we did pop into Waitrose after and go and buy a few bits for the journey home. And I suppose actually that was another little tip that kind of linked to the medicals and with the kids and the vaccines. Now, for our boys, this is the first time they've had any injections since they were babies and toddlers. So for them, they've not really had vaccinations in their arms in a long time.
No, and Jacob, having the meningitis one, it's a live vaccine.
Yeah.
So it can knock him about a bit.
Yeah, so they did say that he could get a fever and he might feel a little bit unwell and his arm might be a bit sore. So what we did when we walked back to get the car at Oxford Street was pop in a chemist and go and get some Calpol, because she was obviously like, if you just start with a fever or it feels a bit off or their arms hurt, you can give them a dose of Calpol. And that wasn't something we'd thought to pack. So we stopped at a chemist and bought some. So if you're watching this and you've got to do the same thing, that's another little tip for you. And if you're going with kids, even for yourself maybe, if your arm's a bit sore, chuck some paracetamol in and some Calpol in, and that way then you can kind of take that as soon as you've done the vaccines and then remove the need for...
Yeah, Jacob had a bit of a achy arm the following day.
Yeah,
Finn had one for about 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I was alright.
Yeah. So that was that. Okay, so I guess just to...
well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just recap very quickly on what the costs have been for anybody, just so a bit of a short recap. So, travelling down, obviously we drove down, and we've got electric cars, so it wasn't it was negligible cost to get down there. We did have to pay. We didn't have to pay ULEZ because we've got electric vehicles, but we did have to pay
the congestion charge for 2 days.
For 2 days. Now, because we didn't pre-book that, we had to pay the full price, which was $17.50 a day, so 35 quid for the congestion charges.
Yeah.
We stayed at the Welbeck Hotel. That was £362 for the night.
Parking.
Breakfast was included there.
Yeah.
Parking at the Q Park on Oxford Street was about £61 for the evening. The medicals then, the total cost for medicals was £1,540. The Just Park parking, which was the Waitrose parking near the embassy, was $20. That was it.
So if you say like eating out as well on the bike, if you're doing this as a budgeting thing because you've got a plan for this, we did sort of like on the day before, because we did do a couple of little things. So obviously you don't need to do the day before and do a couple of little touristy things, but we did those using our Merlin passes. So those things didn't cost us anything, but we obviously needed to eat. So we ate at Chipotle, which cost us about £56.
Yeah.
And got like a quick serve lunch, if you like.
Yeah.
And then we ended up getting Domino's because we didn't end up going out, which in hindsight saved us a bit of money, I guess, in some respects. With Domino's, which cost us
30 £36.
£36. So that made dinner relatively inexpensive because it could have been a darn
Well, it wasn't expensive because we spent £30 in the bar drinking Boston Lager.
True. But it still would have been cheaper than going out for a meal.
Depends where we went, but yeah, it would have been. Yeah, but if you think about the meal we had the following day, then which is where we went to Passyunk, that was £135.
Yeah.
For the four of us with all the drinks and food and starters and things. So, yeah, I think in total
that weekend
would have, I think, including the medicals, £2,300.
Yeah.
Ish. Which is why I always say I don't like going anywhere.
Yeah.
It costs us money. So £2,300 for the 2 days. Obviously, £600 of that was the medicals.
Yeah, I mean, you can, as you know, as we went down on the Sunday to make sure we were there in advance because it was such an early visa medical appointment. You wouldn't necessarily need to go as early as we did, but given our slot was as early as it was, I'm glad we did that.
Yeah.
And stayed the fortnight before, especially trying to get kids up and get to the medical place.
Yeah,
I'm glad we were round the corner.
It's a convenience thing. A lot of people would probably wince at the fact that we paid so much money to stay there and do the things that we've done, but I value time more than money, so I'd rather we was able to spend time with the boys away from the normal things and being at home and doing the stuff that they do here, because as you can very much tell, you very rarely see or hear from them.
Yeah.
So it's good to be able to get out with them anyway, so it's worth spending money to be able to do that and get them out of the house. But also the fact that we were able just to leisurely get up in the morning, get downstairs, have breakfast with them. You know, they were talking to us about what we were doing for the day, what we were going. They were talking to us about the experiences they had the day before and stuff. So it was quite nice to do. So it wasn't. It's worth spending. It's worth paying the money for.
Yeah.
For that part of it, and obviously we got to do the
medicals. And some of it we've got to pay regardless, so there was no choice about that.
And it's not cheap going to London. Doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter when you go, what time of the year, what time of the day. But it's just expensive.
Yeah.
It always is.
Obviously, you need to prepare for that if you're doing this process. So from the point in time, if you like, that we went to the medicals at virtually 9 o'clock in the morning, we did that. Then we went straight over to the embassy where we were done by about 12:30, 1:45.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, something like that. That's how long that entire side of things took us. But that was just our experience on that day.
Yeah. So if you say it's 4 hours in total.
Yeah.
And that was including the commute from the medicals to the embassy.
Yeah.
And parking.
Yeah.
So it was an expensive trip, but obviously we had to do the majority of it.
Oh, and I think the thing as well is, like, reflecting on it, aside from the process and us, like, I built myself up about going through this medical bit so much, and I'd got myself really worked up about it and nervous about it, and it wasn't anything to be concerned about.
No. Not in the slightest.
So that, and like the excitement and the buzz that we got that once we'd done the medicals, and that was another thing ticked off the list, document check done, and literally like, that's it now, we're on to the bit now where it's just the interview.
It's not on.
And like, it's starting to build that excitement now for all of us, I think.
Under 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's crazy.
When you think that, I can still remember sitting here when we did our first video.
Yeah.
I still remember. I'm not that old that I forget stuff in a month, but yeah, it wasn't. One of us is older.
Anyway.
Yeah, well I can still remember sitting here doing the first video that we did.
Yeah. But I guess, so it just means it's all kind of coming together now after all this journey, and I guess we could have very easily just recorded little bits of it and threw it all together as a mashup once we knew everything was done. But I guess for anybody that's going to do this process, for you to be able to see the realities of how long it's took, the ups and the downs, the waiting, the not being able to hear any information, just gives you some real context as to what it actually takes to do this process.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
No.
And you have to have deep pockets.
Yes.
I haven't got deep pockets.
Not now, we don't.
I'm scratching around at the dust at the minute.
Yeah, we're going to go
The
down the
fluff
back
in
of the
bottom of my
sofa in
shorts.
a minute for the next trip down to London, which is all 4 of us now. So, and that leads us nicely into the fact that obviously coming soon
Very soon.
will be our visa appointment vlog. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel yet and you're interested in learning more about what actually happens at visa interview, then please do hit that subscribe button, and we will be bringing that video to you very soon. And we will probably do...
Are we going to make them wait like the full week? Or are we going to do like a...
Well, no, I think what we do is we do like we've done with this one. So we'll record it as it's happening, knowing obviously that we're not going to be able to record anything at the interview, and we'll just do that. And then we'll do a sit-down chatty vlog separately after.
The experience of it.
Yeah, because I think it's two kind of different things.
And then obviously that video, theoretically, assume touch wood, all goes to plan and we get approved, is that's when we start to sweat.
Yes.
Because that's when we've really got to start shifting gears and start getting stuff packed.
It is. So lots of fun, exciting things to come. But if you aren't following us on social media yet, then you can follow along on Instagram and on Facebook, and I will put the handles in here so that you can follow along there, so we can share some, midweek stories and posts and things just as we're getting along and as things are starting to hot up now. But in the meantime, this is us for our usual weekly update blog.
Now it's just that painstaking wait again for the next date, because it is painstaking. Everything is. It's always just a milestone after milestone after milestone. But we're close.
We're close. And this weekend is 100% garage and loft.
Apart from the fact that my youngest son has got a football match on Sunday.
Yeah.
And training on Friday.
Yeah. So that is what we're doing. So I will endeavour to record some of those antics, because no doubt with the two of us doing it, it'll be a lot more funnier than just me. So thank you very much for watching and continuing to follow along with us and for chatting with us in the comments and everything. It's, the support we get is amazing, and we really appreciate every single one of you.
We hope this is helpful for everybody that's interested in doing this process and going through this. And obviously, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below.
And we'll get back to you.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye for now.